Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and today we're getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Without further ado, let's begin. This first post was created back in 2022 in the relationship advice subreddit by a user named Throw a Picky Eater. The post is titled, "My husband cannot accept that I don't like mustard. Things came to a head yesterday. We've been married for 2 years and dating for 5. We are both 34. I'm a woman, he's a man if it matters. I'm not a picky eater. In fact, I'm quite adventurous, and every time I've traveled, I've always made it a point to try dishes with unusual ingredients to say I've tried them. There are very few foods I won't eat. One of them is mustard. I don't like it. I just don't. The taste is very strong and overpowering, and it's unpleasant. I've tried yellow, stone ground, honey, artisan, brown, spicy, you name it. I have tried them all, and I just don't like them. My husband, for some reason, never understood this. He loves mustard, especially honey mustard. He puts it on all his sandwiches and dips his fries in it, and every time he tries to force me to try it, he'll insist I'll like it this time. I'm a grown-ass woman. I know what I don't like, and I don't like mustard, so I'll say no, and it'll devolve into a mini argument where he'll call me picky. Well, last night we were on the road home from a weekend trip we took together, and he stopped at a gas station to get us a quick bite. He got a hot dog slathered in mustard. I got one, but decided to keep it plain. I don't really love hot dogs to begin with, but I will eat them. While we waited in line, he asked what I got on mine. I told him nothing. He actually got furious and grabbed it from me. He marched over to the condiment station and began putting mustard on my hot dog, telling me to grow up and stop being picky. I just walked out and sat in the car. I didn't even want the damn hot dog anymore. My appetite was gone. He came back and began screaming at me for embarrassing him even further. The word divorce was said for the first time ever. I secretly recorded his screaming because I was genuinely afraid I would die. He was driving erratically, swerving and speeding. I'm in a hotel tonight. He ignored me all day at work, and then the calls started when he realized I wasn't coming home. Non-stop voicemails and texts. He sent me a screenshot of a Google search for local divorce lawyers. I haven't eaten all day and I've been sobbing in this damn hotel room. I don't want to get divorced and I wish I had just eaten the mustard. Someone, anyone, please give me an explanation. Am I in danger? Why would he react this way to a preference of mine? I'm completely broken right now. This is such a weird situation. I know the underlying tones and whatnot are serious, but I can't help but chuckle a bit. But anyway, I'm on OP's side here. I think it's very strange that her husband is so fixated on having OP consume mustard. We'll go over some of the comments at the end once we finish all the updates, but many people pointed out that while this obsession may seem innocent at first, it looks like it can lead to some dire consequences. It starts with mustard, but further down the line, if OP's husband gets frustrated about anything else, he may turn violent over all of the issues that he sees. OP provided an update on the same day as her initial post. Here are some answers to questions I saw. Regarding when I said no to sex. He respected if I said no to having sex, but he would ask for blowjobs over and over. I used to give in at first until I started dreading doing it. He tried buying all this stuff to make me like it, to make it easier or whatever. I used to like blowjobs. I don't like giving them to him, but he'll still ask over and over. I started responding with, I said no. Are you going to force me to do it? And he'd get squeamish and offended that I'd implied he would or assault me. I don't have a support system. I've always been a very small circle kind of person, and I lost touch with casual college friends. My friends are his. It makes me feel like a loser, but I don't really have friends of my own. My parents are dead. My dad died when I was a teen, and my mom passed recently of heart failure. I have no siblings. I'm financially capable of living on my own, and I could pay for a divorce. I just really didn't want things to be this way. The mustard thing was always just an annoyance to me. I didn't consider it a deal breaker, but obviously it is for him. We have no kids and no equity. Our finances are separate, save for one joint account we equally contribute to for bills. We were looking at buying a house. I'm safe. I'm at work and I'm staying in the hotel until further notice. He has continued to text. One message said that he loves me and doesn't want to lose me, but I forced his hand by refusing to communicate or come home. I haven't answered. I don't know what to say. I forced myself to eat my favorite takeout late last night, but it tasted like cardboard. I stayed up late, compiling a list of times he has shown worrying behavior. I guess the mustard is the tip of the iceberg. Then OP posted another update not long after. Sincerely, thank you all for your kind words as well as sending me links to resources. He has reverted back and has told me that he never wants to see me again, so I suppose that gives me time to read that book that someone on RA suggested to me. While I was at work and thinking of the lonely room waiting for me after 5, I considered just going home, but I knew what awaited me. I'm too drained to muster up the kind of apology he would be expecting in order for things to go back to normal. I honestly fear that our normal is detrimental to me. I also don't want to apologize. I don't think I did anything wrong. You all helped validate that. I always felt like I was the one disturbing the peace. He'd get so upset over things that were little to no effort for me to just do or go along with because I loved him. And somewhere along the way, I think I lost myself. I never liked mustard. I never liked golf, camping, or red wine. But he loves all of these and wanted me to love them too. He said he was introducing me to his hobbies so we would have shared interests as a couple. But I have realized that out of all the things I used to like, he has either refused to try or ignored my interest. Our shared interests are just his. God, how do I feel like my own person again? My world broke not 2 days ago, and now I'm drunk at a hotel bar, switching between Reddit and researching divorce lawyers. I still don't want to divorce. It's so permanent. I never pictured myself as a divorcee. I used to think that every choice I made deliberately. It used to be a point of pride for me, but he's making this choice for me, and it hurts. Then, about a week after that post, OP gave us a final update. First of all, I took this week off at the encouragement of my employer. I plan to spend it finding a therapist who specializes in domestic abuse and sexual assault, which I've come to realize I am a victim of. I feel completely numb. I'm also looking into a divorce lawyer. Secondly, he found the hotel where I was staying. I guess he followed me from work. He was waiting in the lobby. God, my heart skipped a beat, and I realized that I did not miss him at all. I was afraid of making a scene, so I sat with him in the lounge area and talked. I know I need to work on this and be more assertive. I'll summarize it. I pointed out the security camera and said if he tried to hurt me, there'd be footage and I would press charges without a second thought. He was completely shocked and said he'd never hurt me. I reminded him how I feared for my life in the car. He ignored me. He asked why I wasn't coming home. I was completely blank-faced when I told him, because you're divorcing me. He said he didn't mean it and was just upset. I said, when normal people are upset, they express it in a healthy way. You threatened the end of our marriage. I'm taking you seriously. He got pissed and asked if I was saying he wasn't normal. Honestly, I just wanted the conversation to be done, so I told him if that's really all he heard, then there was no point in talking anymore. I told him I was looking for a lawyer and he should probably do the same if he hasn't found one. He lashed out and said, all this over one mistake, and I just stared at him. As I made to stand up, he grabbed my wrist hard and I pointed at the camera again. This just made him angrier. He never could handle slights to his ego. One mistake. It wasn't one mistake. It was a pattern of abuse over the years. It was threatening me, intimidating me. I told him if he tried to contact me again beyond sending me his lawyer's details, I'd be calling the police. He let me go. I want to say I was badass and celebrated in my room. I collapsed onto my bed and began sobbing. I was just so sick and angry and sad. He truly doesn't care about me. I've been crying on and off while calling local therapists. God, why is it so hard to find one? The amount of therapists that advertise but turn out not to be accepting new patients is unacceptable. I've looked into victims of DVDA support groups as well. In the span of less than a month, my life is completely changed. And he isn't remorseful at all. He just thinks it's all my fault. Okay, so quick correction, that wasn't actually the final update. After digging through OP's account, I found additional posts. Toward the end of November, so just a couple of weeks after that last update at the most, OP made another post. And under her last update, she left a comment saying that her husband may have found her Reddit account. I have a divorce lawyer. That's all I am comfortable with revealing on here for the time being. I will also mention that I have moved locations. I am safe and secure. My work has allowed me to go fully remote. My STBX does not have my location, nor are there any trackers on my phone. I am in contact with people and organizations who are helping me. Earlier this week, the calls and texts really ramped up. I was advised to leave him unblocked and simply muted so his messages would come through. I read a few since I was curious. He wanted me at Thanksgiving dinner with his family. He begged me to stop being this way and asked what he was supposed to tell his family. Well, Thursday came and went. I had bought a couple of ready meals the night before, so that was my feast. I do want to take a break here to talk about my mom. Since there were only 3 of us on each holiday, my mom wouldn't make a turkey. She would buy a rotisserie chicken and dress it up with stuffing, etc. She'd make dishes we loved rather than traditional Thanksgiving dishes. My favorite side dish of all time was French fries. My dad loved grilled asparagus with cheese, so we would have a rotisserie chicken with French fries, asparagus, and some garlic toast, which was my mom's favorite. The first time I had real traditional Thanksgiving food was at a friend's house. I apparently told my mom loudly I didn't like it and asked where the fries were. So this year, instead of my STB ex-husband's family's Thanksgiving food, I bought asparagus, fries, garlic toast, and a couple of slices of rotisserie chicken. It wasn't half as good as my mother's meal, but when I say I cried eating it, it felt like they were with me that night. I guess my absence at the dinner forced my STB ex to tell his family that I was separated from him. So Friday morning, I got a phone call from an unfamiliar number. I answered it thinking maybe it was my lawyer's home phone or another person I was in contact with. It was my mother-in-law. She begged me not to hang up on her, so I stayed on the line. She went on about how I was her daughter, how she loved me, how her son loved me, and how I could leave him over something so minor. He only told his mom about the mustard, and even then, it was a watered-down version that made me look like a neurotic control freak who needed everything my way. According to her, he just made a side cup of it for me and asked me to just try it in the car, and I started screaming I'd divorce him. She then started probing about which lawyer I was seeing and what I had told them. She also reminded me that lying in court was a crime. My lawyer warned me not to reveal anything we had discussed to his family. It took all my willpower not to say anything. Instead, I hung up and muted her number too. She hasn't texted or tried to call again. Trust me, I would have loved to send the recording of her son screaming, saying he ought to smack me upside the head, calling me a stubborn bitch, that he would divorce me, and that he would run the car off the road if I didn't start acting right. I wanted to scream into the phone that her precious son started this mess and I was simply doing what he wanted. I have come to realize you don't treat someone you love like the way he has acted. Normal people don't want to have sex with someone who has already said no. Normal people don't keep pushing and obsessing over food preferences. There is something seriously wrong with that man. He texted me last night calling me a bitch for making his mother cry. He also said he would come to find me, and it would take more than a locked door to keep him from getting me and taking me home. I forwarded those to the right people. I know this isn't a happy update, but things are moving along quite nicely. About 2 to 3 months later, we got another short update from OP. I moved. I will not say where, but I have found a new home. My job let me stay on as permanently remote. I can't go into details about my divorce or other current legal proceedings, but I can say I was granted a protective order due to something that happened back in December. Due to the nature of what happened, I was hospitalized for a time. That was what I guess made me realize I wanted to get the out. I traded my car, had my phone checked for tracking apps / devices, and changed my number. He cannot contact me or have anyone contact me on his behalf. I am now several hours and state lines away from him and his wretched family. I moved with only 2 suitcases and a duffel of my stuff. I cannot wait to furnish and decorate my new home the way I always wanted it. I'm in therapy and I have a survivor support group I see weekly. I will be okay. I feel like I can finally breathe. Edit, you are all very kind. I've had a lot of people ask what happened that landed me in the hospital, and while I understand my story is entertaining, it was quite traumatic to endure. Respectfully, I won't share that until I'm ready. I appreciate all of the support, and I'm both touched and heartbroken by those of you who have shared similar stories in my comments and DMs. I'm simultaneously horrified that others have gone through this and relieved that I'm not the only one. A user named Spicy Nova made the following comment under this update. I saw this on Snapchat and I came all the way here to say something. I read another Reddit post about a girl whose husband kept using her towel and she kept telling him not to, but he still would for months. She ended up wanting to leave him and he said, all over a towel. And she said, it's not about the towel, it's about the carelessness, disrespect, and disregard being shown. I don't know who wrote this Reddit post, but I needed to share this because it helped me a lot. They were able to recognize that and work it out. Obviously, that's not the case here. He's an insensitive prick who only cares about himself. It's not about the mustard, and it never was. It's that he didn't have respect for you, nor did he care about your feelings. He always wanted to do things that benefit him, and God forbid you didn't want to do that or you wanted to do your own hobbies, and he didn't care and called you picky, etc. But he apparently never did anything wrong. I'm very glad you left, and I'm so glad you had the willpower not to tell his mom that information. That must have been so hard. You also said in another post that you pride yourself in making your own decisions, and he was making the decision for you, and he was definitely not. He was saying all the things a narcissist would do. They are upset and call you all the names in the book and accuse you or blame you. Then say, I love you, I'm sorry, and then try all the tactics there are in the book to keep you in the relationship and start the abuse all over again, making it much harder to leave. He did not make your choice, you did, and I hope you realize that you deserve so much better. I hope you'll share an update when this is all over. I'd love to see the look on his face when all the truth comes out. Sorry for such a long post. I have a lot to say. Stay strong. OP would then take a longer hiatus before returning to Reddit about 9 months later. It's been a while. I had sort of forgotten about this account until I saw screenshots of my post uploaded to Instagram. I am still going to therapy, individual counseling, and bi-weekly group meetups for victims of DV. I am absolutely not dating. I saw some comments that said they hoped I found a fairy tale man. That's the last thing I want or need. I strive for independence and self-love before I consider finding a new partner. It'll probably be years before I'm ready, and that's okay. I have discovered a love of cooking and trying new cuisines. I didn't realize how boring my ex's taste was until I escaped him. Slathering mustard on a $2 hot dog does not mean you have superior taste buds. Sorry, I had to get a jab in somehow. Nothing new or dramatic has happened, and that is the way I like it. What matters is I'm alive and I'm happy. I didn't realize how little I'd made myself until I was given the space to be. That's all I'm willing to give for my update for now. Peace and love. And the final update was made just 2 weeks from the time of this recording, so over 7 months from the last update. It seems that I just can't escape my story. I was getting ready for the day when my TikTok feed showed a podcast reading and reacting to my story. I'm here to reassure all of you that I'm okay, alive, safe, and free. And with that stress and anxiety mostly cleared up, I feel like I can finally put to words my emotions. I was very small and skittish during the abuse and for some time after leaving. I'm not sure how else to put it, but I felt like I had to be small. I was constantly regulating and accommodating. It was horrible in retrospect, but no one prepared me for the emotional turmoil that ensues once you're safe and away. I felt rage like nothing else. I would spend hours screaming and crying into my pillow, hating him, wondering how dare he treat me like that. As therapy and my support group have worked to rebuild my self-esteem, I've become more and more outraged on my own behalf. I read books, and while it helps provide context as to why he abused me, it still doesn't make me feel less angry, I guess. I'm angry for myself as a human being. He treated others with respect but thought I deserved all that he did to me, and that makes me angry. Of course, there was relief, sadness, all of that. I think I slept for days straight after I left. I was in a daze. My therapist reassured me that all of this is normal. I don't want this update to be negative, not in the slightest. So, some good news as well. My therapist recommended yoga and Pilates, and it has been great for me. The release of a deep stretch, being in shape, and feeling strong has helped me massively. I feel healthy, and yes, I cry when I do hip opening stretches. Also, I made real friends. I joined a local women's club that was part of my neighborhood, and we do various activities bi-monthly. This next week, we'll be doing a little embroidery project. Everyone brings snacks, and we just enjoy each other's company. So, we know for a fact that OP's ex was a total psychopath and narcissist. He even goes as far as to lie and threaten that he will physically hurt someone if he does not get his way. We didn't learn until later on in the thread of updates that the husband was also enforcing his likes onto other parts of OP's life. Just like how OP said, he was sort of pushing his entire personality onto her. So when she left, she almost forgot what her own likes and dislikes were. I'm really happy to hear that OP is doing well in her life now. It was extremely sad to read through her story about how her holidays were with a smaller family, which is something I can really relate to. I'm looking forward to more updates and reading through the event when OP's husband finally gets exposed to everyone for being a scumbag. This next post was created just a day from the time of this recording. It was created by a user named LunaHope86 in the True Off My Chest subreddit. The post is titled, "I lost custody and I'm secretly relieved. I needed somewhere anonymous to post this. I need to get this off my chest, and if you continue to read, you will see why I can't open up to friends and family. I can't tell anyone this because everyone will think I'm a bad parent. I am a single parent. I have been for over a decade. I left my ex and raised 2 offspring on my own. They are twins. For their entire life, they have only had summers with their other parent in Florida. The other parent moved for a job after we divorced. The twins don't go every summer and they don't talk to their other parents outside of those summer visits. Basically, twins have always preferred to live with me and didn't have much to do with the other parent. I have handled everything from medical appointments to school to all the things required for 10 months out of the year, every year, for over a decade for both kids. It wasn't easy. One of the twins has been in an IEP for years. She struggles and has high needs issues. She's been in therapy for as long as I can remember. It was a long road for me as a single parent to navigate all this for her. It's been many tears, many heartaches, and a lot of money invested in the right professionals to help her. I spent countless hours in time with the school because they couldn't handle her needs. Work was a struggle and my personal life was a struggle because all of my energy went into meeting her needs. Due to her immense needs, I have basically put my life on hold for 10 years. I don't date because, let's be honest, it's hard to find a partner who is willing to commit their life to helping raise a special needs individual. My girls are my world and worth it. I would give up everything for them. Well, all this has changed so drastically last month. The co-parent and I have never really gotten along, but for the past decade, it wasn't an issue because they didn't really care about the relationship with the girls. Not since I filed for divorce. Now we are back in court where I can give few details except for the following. My ex and I lean on opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to political beliefs. This may sound weird to bring up, but since some political leanings have a tendency to firmly stand in ways that obviously impact what kind of parenting, education, medical care they do, it obviously can cause problems if parents don't agree. For example, how parents deal with vaccinations. It doesn't matter which way either of us lean. But in the end, let's say that professional recommendations were dismissed by a judge who allowed his leanings to factor in his opinion over the many school officials, doctors, and even the GAL opinions. You can already imagine where this is going. I was given an ultimatum: lose both my daughters or lose only one to the other parent. This was the judge's warning to my lawyer. I was heavily encouraged to settle for losing just one, because if we had gone to trial, the judge would have made it clear I would lose both. I lost custody of one daughter, the one with special needs, the one who I have spent many years in tears and struggle with due to all her special needs and how they impacted my personal and professional life. I was allowed to keep custody of the daughter, who was lucky to have a pretty normal life. She doesn't struggle with issues like my other daughter has, so that's where we stand. The courts encouraged the twins to be split between parents, and my ex will now be managing the daughter with special needs. Now, for the off my chest part, I am secretly relieved. I can't tell anyone this for obvious reasons. They wouldn't understand a decade of sacrificing your personal and work life to manage a special needs child. I have sacrificed dating, vacations, trips, and careers all to center around my special needs child. Now, to be clear, she has special needs and she does take a lot of care, but she is high functioning too. Because of this, another parent is in for a world of surprise when they deal with their first school year together. Now, recall, I've raised the twins for 95% of their life. Other parent really has no clue and hates me so much they refuse to believe anything I say. If I said the sky was blue, other parent would say it was green. This next year is going to be a FAFO situation for the other parent, but honestly, it needed to happen. I was tired of their denial of our child's needs for the last decade. Now, other parent has a chance to see for themselves and deal with it like I have for so many years. Don't get me wrong, when other parent asks me to take my special needs daughter back, which I absolutely believe will happen, I absolutely will take her back. And I will be overjoyed to have her back. She and her sister are my world. I would gladly carry chains for the rest of my life to make them smile. But I have to admit to someone, and that is you. This next year, I will be able to date again. I will be able to take vacations and go on outings with friends. I will not be in and out of a principal's office working to give special needs children what they need for their education. I will not be responsible for managing many doctors or medications or emotional meltdowns, etc. My other daughter is looking forward to being the one who has all my attention. Other daughters spent a decade having a special needs sister take the forefront. I have already planned 2 vacations for me and my other daughter. We are going to bond and she is going to be my focus. My health will be my focus. I have already lost 20 pounds and I'm looking forward to dating. It's my turn to get remarried. I am going to grow a lot through this next year and I am going to get a break. My special needs daughter will be okay. She loves her siblings out there at the other parent, but I know eventually she will want to come back home too, so this will all be short-lived. But I can't explain how relieved I am for a break and how funny it is going to be when my idiot of an ex has to ask me to take back custody. So there you have it, Reddit. My ex is going to FAFO and I'm going to get a year of endless possibilities, really. Update. Thank you to those with kind and supportive words. I obviously changed some personal details to remain anonymous. My ex has very deep pockets and wouldn't hesitate to make my life worse. I also want to respect my children's privacy. To those who don't believe, well, there's no reason to. This wasn't to convince anyone of anything. This is me unburdening myself with my confession because I do feel guilty for being relieved. I just want to make it clear when my ex sends my baby back, I will absolutely repair all the damage this has done. When I saw the title of this post, I thought it was going to be something despicable, but to be completely honest, I think it's rather wholesome. It's clear that OP loves her daughters. However, just like with her ex, many people don't realize how much work it really is to take care of someone with special needs. I covered a story the other day where a person that takes care of those with disabilities said that they would abort their child if they knew it would require special needs. OP is honestly amazing for taking care of not just one daughter, but 2 this entire time all by herself. And the part where she said that she would carry the chains for the rest of her life honestly made my heart kind of melt. As OP said, no matter how much you love your family, a break can do amazing things when you are required to take on so much work. One user named Disjointed Chameleon left the following comment under OP's post. Actions have consequences. I spent a decade bringing home all the money and I also still found myself having to handle the bulk of the housework. I endured my ex-husband's abuse and laundry list of issues while also simultaneously dealing with chemotherapy, monthly immunotherapy infusions, and a multitude of surgeries for my autoimmune condition. I also spent years begging him to please get help. He's a veteran who never deployed, and while I'm deeply sympathetic to those challenges, they aren't an excuse to treat other people like dirt. As a veteran, he also had access to plenty of free resources, many of which can be accessed from the comfort of home. But he was either unable or unwilling to help himself and seemed perfectly content to let me shoulder the entire burden of adulting. About a year ago, his anger issues reached a boiling point and left me fearing for my life and safety. That was my last straw. I finally got fed up and filed for divorce. Fast forward a few months, we sat down in front of lawyers. He kicked and screamed every step of the way, metaphorically speaking. Fast forward a few more months. He reaches out, claiming he wants to apologize and that he finally understood what it takes to keep a roof over one's head and food on the table. Even so, I never heard the words, "I'm sorry for hurting you," come out of his mouth. His crocodile tears epitomized woe is me and how he was the victim. And to be clear, he wasn't the victim here, nor was he left destitute. As part of our divorce, we sold our house and he walked away with a $25,000 plus check in hand. Somehow, he pissed it all away in less than 3 months. Meanwhile, I've barely touched the equity I received because it feels like blood money. Nothing like an attorney handing you a fat check, congratulating you, and then you hobble back to your car and drive to a doctor's appointment to treat the ongoing injury your ex-husband inflicted upon you just days earlier because he decided to hurl a gigantic table at you during a fit of anger, causing permanent damage to your leg. Sometimes, someone feeling the consequences of their own actions can serve as the most effective teacher, so to speak. My ex-husband is now learning what it takes to be an adult. Your ex will get a personal taste for what it means to parent. Welcome to adulthood, folks.